Hello everyone, Willford here. Early this month I released a video about this track, which is Kanye by the Chainsmokers. I made a remake of it, and this video will be dedicated to a better look into this project. This video will be split into 7 parts. First, overall, then the intro, then the breakdown, then the rise, the first drop, then the second breakdown, and then the third breakdown. So first, let's take a look at all the overall stats. I never ever use any external plugins or samples, only if I really need them. So in this case that would be the acapella, which I pulled off MS Project Sound. The channel got deleted and got back recreated, but they removed this one. They removed this particular acapella.
I have never wished on hope, didn't need a telescope.
But they removed this particular acapella, so I will put the download to the acapella to the download of this project, which will be in the description. So the samples I used in this project are Crash and a reversed part of the intro which had a lot of reverb, so it sounds like this. And what I did was I just took the beginning of this, like that, and I put a lot of reverb and delay on it, so it sounded like this. I exported that sound, and then I reversed it in FL Studio. So then it sounds like this. I built this entire project with the original on top right here, as you can... Oh, I muted it right now, but... This is the original.
Didn't need a telescope to see where I am going. I have never...
That's the original. I put that on top, and so I could see if what I made was actually the same as the original. And that was my way of working out on this project. So let's start with the intro. The intro consists of a piano part, which looks exactly like this, and sounds like this. In here. Then the reversed this right here, and the acapella comes in, and then this sound, this ROM right here. This sound I actually downloaded from the internet. It's a sound font pack, and this sound in particular is the 198 U20 alto sax. I'll put the link to the sound font pack in the description. And you'll actually hear it in the original. There it is. So then these drums, this drum pattern right here. I got by taking a kick and a snare, just a normal kick and a snare. That's no effects. On the kick, I put a parametric EQ, so the high end would cut and the low end would be stronger. Then I put a filter, so the frequency would be lower, and then some reverb on it. So the kick sounds like this. And the snare, what I did with the snare was I took a parametric EQ and completely eliminated the high cuts. Then exactly the same free filter and some reverb, and then I put them in the pattern like so. And then finally the soft intro melody which I had. It's just a melody to strengthen up the voice.
One day I'll stand with the crown on my head like a god.
It's actually also in the original.
One day I'll stand with the crown on my head.
You have to listen very closely. So now let's move on to the first breakdown right here. It sounds like so.
I'll be the king of me always. Do have it my way.
The most important part of this this particular breakdown is the drum beat, which sounds like this. These are all just normal samples I took from FL Studio and processed. And there's another one which has some more bass drums in it. These are actually the patterns from the original. I listened to the track closely and very carefully, and I took this out of it. Then there's actually a separate layer I called soft bass. It's a sub bass to the kick drum, and I put it in a different layer because it has different parts, different velocities, and sounds like so. And then of course this part right here is actually in the original. There it was. That's how I did it. So now let's move on to the raise. Starts once again with a crash, like this, and then the piano part, which sounds like this. And as you can see, this actually has the hard end, which I should have removed for the intro, but I didn't know how to, and it sounds really good in the raise, so I kept it like that. Then for the first time you hear the bass is actually used in the drop, which sounds like this. Actually the same notes as we used for the sub bass in the breakdown. Then in the first part from the raise we use a normal kick. And if I'm not mistaken, yep, only the bass in this part is sidechained to the kick, as you can see. If you don't know how to do that, you should look up a tutorial on YouTube somewhere. And then the rise snare, the snare that I used. I actually used a few snares in this, and the pattern sounds like this. This last part right here is a reverb snare, which I particularly designed for this part. And this is just a normal snare. And the kick right here. So it sounds like this. Then I have a modulation X envelope on the vocal synthesis, and if I'm not mistaken, oh, that is in the unsorted. Yeah, modulation X does the frequency of this. So like that, and then it puts it all the way up at the end. So now, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's move on to the drop. The drop consists of a few parts. The lead, which is a vocal synthesis, I actually did myself. The bass, which we actually used in here. The same notes, but some slide notes in it. The kick, which I compressed myself with a Maximus. The snare, which had a lot of processing. It completely eliminated the low end right here. Then I made it a lot louder with the limiter, and then I put some reverb on it. And as you can see, I fooled around with some of the things, but I thought this sounded the best with it. And then the hats, which is just something I equalized in the mixer and reverbed and put a Maximus on it, so it sounded fuller. And then at last the chords, which sound like this. which I also side-chained to the kick. So as you can see, it's not side-chained right now. But as soon as I unmute the kick, it sounds like this. Then about the bass, it's just the normal notes with some slides in here. And it's also sidechained to the kick, so you can hear that right here. It's less clear than the chords, but it's definitely sidechained. And then the lead. This took me, of the entire track, this took me the longest to make. And I'll show you in a different project. So we're back here in the project where I made the sound design for the lead. So how I did it was I recorded my voice saying A, in different ways. Then I auto-tuned it so it's so it was straight C, A, and I also dropped a little bit of the low end, as you can see here. A. Then what I did was I exported this file and I shift dragged it into Harmor right here. And then I chose the one that I thought was best. As you can see, I messed around with it a little bit in Harmor with the unison and some of the effects. There you have it. And then here's the melody. And then inside this project, I actually made another mixer thingy on the vocal synthesis, which has a limiter on it to sidechain it, which has a parametric EQ to make it a lot louder and the high end a lot clearer. Then a distortion on here and more distortion. And that's how I got that sound. So, on to the second breakdown. It starts with the intro, the reversed intro I had. Then into the a cappella. And the piano in here, which has a Fruity Free filter frequency envelope on the bottom, and that makes it sound like it's coming in. Like that. And then I just put the drum pattern of the first parts right here. This drum pattern right here, I put in here, and removed the hats in the beginning here and put it back in the Eckert 4 hat volume envelope, as you can see down here. And then it sounds like this. Born and broken home, okay. Single mama, let me chase what I was made for. And the hat comes back here. We made up a paradise. And then the same here, but with the sub bass and the sound. One day I'll stand. And this time I actually sidechained the alto sax, as you can see here. One day I'll stand with the. And that's why it's shortened. That's exactly why it's shortened right here. Because as you can see, the drum comes for a second time. It shorts it in. That's why it's shorter in the second part. Because that's the drum pattern 3. Then the same raise. But then with the raise snare in here already. Then the drop twice. And then this. That's the third breakdown. And the third breakdown in the original has some kind of electric guitar sounding sound. I could not seem to get it. So what I did was I made another piano and I sidechained it with grass beats. And then another bass, and just a pluck. To see where I am going. And the pluck is just easy, I think harmless? No, harmor. And as you can see right here, the pluck was set down. And then it goes back in the raise, in the drop, and that's the end of the track. Well, thanks for listening and watching to this tutorial. If you want to check out the full song, which has the entire song in it and then a playthrough with all the layers you can see, click on the left side of the screen. And if you want to visit my channel, click on the right side of the screen. Right down here will be a subscribe option. And if you like the video, please leave a like. It helps out tremendously. And that will be it. I'll see you next time.